Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday, and thanks for tuning in. You are watching Sparked, and I am Abra Kurt. I am a certified integrative life and wellness coach and lifestyle designer, and you are watching the second episode of my new series, Sparked. So, Sparked, as I've said, is a weekly lifestyle series, and it's also a vibrant online community of people that get together right here inside the show, where each week we connect, reflect, and get inspired around all things personal growth, health and wellness, and the world around us. Because let's face it, who doesn't need a little bit of inspiration in our lives, right? So if you're a dreamer, a doer, or anyone who's looking for more fulfillment, more meaning, or more joy in your life, you are in the right place, my friend. So let's get sparked. So as you are hopping on, please say hi, let me know you're here, and let me know how you're feeling today. Hey, babe, thank you so much for hopping on first. As always, my husband is always the first person on every episode. Well, not always, but most of the time. So thank you for saying happy birthday, because yes, it is indeed my birthday today. And there is nowhere I would rather spend it than right here in this community with all of you guys. Hi, Rose. Thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, Trish. Thank you all so much for being here. As you are hopping on, please say hi and let me know you're here. You are tuning into the second episode of my weekly lifestyle series, Sparked. So tonight we are going to be talking about the diet I recommend to everyone. And what is that? It's the negativity cleanse, y'all. You've heard of cleanses and detox and all the things. The one diet I recommend to everyone is the negativity cleanse. Hi, Mama Vicky, and thank you. Janet, hi. Thank you so much for being here. George, thank you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, for celebrating my birthday with me tonight. Donna, thank you for being here, and thank you for the birthday wishes. Thank you, everyone. It's one of those things, you guys. This is the first day, I think, in the history of my life that I have ever worked on my birthday. I've always taken a vacation day, or even when I was consulting, like I would take the day off and Scott and I would travel. And I was on vacation, 2 weeks ago, and he's like, "Are you still going to do a show on your birthday?" And I said, "Yeah, I am. I want to show up. Like, I want to be with my community. I want to be with him. And, this is how we're doing it. This is the thing that when people say, what would you do even if you didn't have to work, or if you didn't need to, earn money to, live, what's the thing that you would do if you could just do anything you wanted?" And you guys, my answer is this. This is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm choosing to spend my birthday. So thank you so much for being here with me. As you're hopping on, please say hi and let me know you're here. So every single week here at Sparked, we are talking about a theme that is relevant to our month-long topic, which in September for us is refocusing our energy. And I chose that theme for September because it's all about new beginnings for me in September. And I think for a lot of us, it's the new school year, it's the change of seasons, it's literally my birthday. So it's a brand new year for me. So that's our theme for September, and this week, as I mentioned at the top of the show, we are going to be talking about refocusing our energy around cutting some negativity out of our lives and doing the negativity cleanse. So tonight specifically, we are going to connect around how a steady diet of negativity in all its forms, you guys, all its forms, whether it's network news or social media or the complainers and the naysayers in our lives, and most importantly, that own negative self-talk reel in our own heads, how all of that negativity is actually harmful to us in a lot of different ways, and how it's preventing us from achieving our dreams and goals and succeeding in life. So we're going to reflect also around the sources of negativity in our lives, and how sometimes instead of like a dramatic upshift to positive, that a neutral shift is actually more helpful in some cases than trying to go straight from negative to positive in one fell swoop. And I'm also going to share some tips and resources to inspire you to detox from all the bad for good. So if that sounds like a heck yeah, please throw up some hearts for the negativity cleanse and hit the share button. Please hit the share button. And as we're talking about all the negativity in social media, let's counteract some of that and spread some good vibes and share the show tonight out in our feeds and spread some positivity to help counteract some of that negativity while we're here talking about the negativity cleanse. All right, let's get started with our episode, which means you know what time it is. It is time for the quote of the week. The quote of the week. It's one of my favorite parts of the show. I know you guys, it's one of your favorite parts of the show. I love sharing inspiring words from authors or pioneers in their fields or entrepreneurs or other people whose thoughts and actions and the legacies that they've left inspire me. And so in tonight's episode, we're talking about the negativity cleanse and mindset shifts. We're talking about shifting gears in a lot of ways. So I thought, what would be more appropriate than to share a quote from an automotive pioneer and legend? So yes, Scott said, quote, quote, quote. Hey, Don, I'm just seeing you hop on. Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for the birthday wishes. So tonight's quote is from a gear shifting pioneer, Henry Ford. Henry Ford is the quote of the week, and the quote is this: whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And it's about you guys, right? So not that Henry Ford was a life coach or a psychologist or any of those things, but it's really to the point, and it's so, so true, right? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's not about anybody else telling us what they think our abilities are or our worth is, right? It's about what we think. So what we think, what we focus on grows, okay? So that's the quote of the week from Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. All right, so now I want to ask you, take to the comments, all right? If you haven't already let me know that you're here, please say hi and let me know that you are on this evening. Please take to the comments and let me know what is something that you've done or accomplished that someone started out telling you you couldn't do, or maybe you shouldn't do, or maybe it was really risky and you might want to think twice about that. What is something that you've gone ahead and done anyway and accomplished in spite of negativity, or, inspired perhaps by the negativity to show them and prove them wrong? If that applies to you, let me know in the quotes something that you've done despite negativity, or despite being told no, or despite being told that you couldn't or shouldn't, or should maybe think twice about doing something. Share in the quotes. I would love to hear your stories about overcoming negativity and achieving something in your lives. I will share one of my favorites, and for me, it's more of a cultural level sort of negativity, right? It's more of a cultural level negativity. And one of the things that just hurts my heart more than anything. Hi, Georgie. Yes, Georgie says owning her own hair salon. When we women start our businesses, people just want to discourage us left and right, y'all. And yes, that is huge. Being an entrepreneur, owning your own business, starting something from scratch and being successful at it. And how many times have we heard no, y'all? And that's the thing for me. It's this cultural idea that women of a certain age should stop aspiring, should stop trying, should stop reaching for more or trying to be more. That like after you're a certain age, you should just be happy with what you have. Over 40, that's a hard age to make a career change or start a business. Or you guys, who remembers that study from the 80s that was like the headline in Newsweek that said a single woman over the age of 40 is more likely to be killed by a terrorist than to get married and meet the love of her life? George says, per Luke's interchange with Yoda, I don't believe it. That is why you failed. Yes, yes, we have to feel it. We have to believe it ourselves to succeed. Donna says there was a jerk who she went to high school with who didn't think she'd get into Georgetown. She had the last laugh. Trish said she completed computer learning center classes with an A average. That is awesome, you guys. Yes. So it's about what we think, okay? What we feel, what we believe our capabilities are, not about the cultural constructs of women of a certain age or what other people think, right? But sometimes our negativity can also hold us back. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. I want to share though, because these messages, right, they're so pervasive, you guys, they're so pervasive, and they're disguised as jokes and they're disguised as like funny things. And y'all know how much I love reading the Washington Post and reading the comics. So I have two comics I want to share and also an advice column that illustrate my point around this idea of a cultural conversation around women being too old to do the things that we want to do, right? So here is the comic Dustin, which is written by two men. Surprise, surprise. Not that all men have these attitudes and opinions, but you know, here we are. So Dustin is reading the newspaper and he hears this like oof and ugh from like another room, and he peeps around the door and it's his wife on the floor doing yoga. And her phone is saying, hold the pose, you can do it. And she says, I don't think this yoga pose was designed for people in their 50s. And then the third, little window is kind of irrelevant at that point. She says, oh, it relaxes her. He's like, why do you keep doing it? She's like, oh, it relaxes me. But the point that that's telegraphing is, you're over 50. What are you trying to do getting into those like yoga poses, right? So here's another one. Rhymes with orange, which is in color. So we know that this was in the Sunday paper. Two women going to yoga in the park with their yoga mats and water bottles. And this woman says, middle age is when people stop telling you to reach for the stars and telling you to reach for your toes. Middle age is when people tell you to stop reaching for the stars and start reaching for your toes, which in the other one, but then if you're too old, you shouldn't even try. So those like funny comic strips are telegraphing like at a certain age, women in particular, stop reaching for your goals, stop trying to do more, stop trying to get fit and be healthy and be flexible and all things because you're just too dang old. And then I want to share what's even better, an advice column I cut out of the newspaper. And I love the Washington Post. I do. It's a great, respected, Pulitzer Prize winning source of news, but I think some of the things in there are a little bit ridiculous, and this is one of them. So this is a work advice column. And a woman writes in to Carla Miller, who's the work advice columnist, she wants to quit her job because she hates it. She wanted to quit for a year, all of these reasons. And then she already overstayed how long she wanted to be there. Now COVID hits and there's unemployment and she's teleworking and she's afraid to leave, but teleworking is exacerbating. It's the not having to commute is better, but now it's exposing all these other things that are wrong with the job that she didn't even know until she had to start teleworking. And she lists all the things that she hates and all the ways that it's like soul sucking her and killing her. And then she also shares that she is about to turn 50. And she wants to do more than she's currently doing. She's a head receptionist, but she doesn't want to do that forever. And what should she do? So she asks Carla, our intrepid advice columnist, who leads with this paragraph of advice. So she said, basically the writer says that she's battling the urge to just run out the door right now. So Carla responds, keep battling that urge. Even if this job is not your preferred situation, it's a better option now than joblessness, especially for workers in your age bracket. So you guys, that's 3 examples. Like it's this advice columnist telling a woman not to quit her job that is killing her and sucking the life out of her because It's better than joblessness because that's the only other option, right? It's you either stay in a job you hate or be unemployed. And also, you're old. She's about to turn 50. And for workers in her age bracket, looking to switch jobs is maybe not so wise. So you guys, that is some negativity right there. And that is the negativity that, especially today on my birthday, hurts my heart the most. So I wanted to share those things. I also want to share with you guys that I'm living proof that all of that stuff is complete and total crap. Okay? Because I did all of those things after the age of 40 that I just mentioned. So I left my steady, stable job in corporate America, started my own business. I also got married to the love of my life at the age of 40. So I was technically still single at the age of 40 before we got married. And, I'm getting more healthy and more physically fit every single day. Thank you guys. I'm seeing more people who are hopping on. Lisa, Dawn, hi you guys. Thank you. Yes, Scott says that advice is poo. That is totally poo. Lisa, no, I did not write a scathing response, but I'm calling her out right here on Facebook Live. So there is my scathing response. Don't tell people they're too old to pursue their dreams, Carla. Okay. So Carla's the new Karen, you guys. Carla's the new Karen, crushing people's dreams and telling them that they're old. So yeah, I wanted to share that because that's some negativity, and that's some negativity at the cultural level, you guys. These are messages that people, my age, the age of a lot of us here that I know are watching this show, are inundated with on a daily basis. And it's hurtful and it holds us back because, it's not even just the thing where like maybe your mom says, well, maybe you shouldn't try to start your own business at the age of 40, honey, because, you should just stick with a job that you have that's stable. This is like a cultural thing that like, well, man, like this is just hard for women. And there was that thing in Newsweek where I'm more likely to get killed by a terrorist than get married at this age. All of that stuff, right? Super negative. You guys, I'm living proof. It's all crap. Also, today on my birthday, I gave myself two gifts. I gave myself two gifts that are all about reaching for the stars and growth and change. Okay, number one, and they're both like classes. So I love learning. I'm a constant lifelong learner. I think everyone should be. It's part of my growth mindset. And I am pursuing two courses that I bought myself today for my birthday. Number one is a Foundations of Positive Psychology specialization at the University of Pennsylvania because I want to up my game with the work I'm doing. I'm already a certified integrative life and wellness coach, but I want some psychology cred behind the work I'm doing and being able to serve my clients and my audiences better. So I signed up for that specialization. And the course was developed by Martin Seligman, who's like the father of positive psychology and like empirical data and studies and all the things. And UPenn is an Ivy League institution. So I thought this will be a great place to get some actual psychology cred behind the work I'm doing. The second thing I did, and maybe there's a thing about yoga here. There's like a connector here that was telegraphing for me, like prove this wrong specifically. But I also I signed up for a yoga teacher certification. So yes, I signed up for a 200-hour yoga teacher training that will certify me to teach yoga courses. And it's a nationally accredited Yoga Alliance program. And so I'm super excited to dive in. Yoga has been a big part of my life for a very long time. It's part of what keeps me centered and healthy and flexible and all the things. And, I hear a lot of people say, when they do, start to age, like, right, we do lose our elasticity. We do lose our flexibility a little bit, right? But yoga keeps me limber and it makes me feel good every single day. So I want to be certified to learn how to teach it. Yeah, Janet said there's no way I'm over 40. I know, right? It's 41. No, it's not. I'm like way past 40, y'all, way past 40. I'm closer to 50 than I am to 40. And so that's all I'm going to say. And I got 1 year closer today. So who else? Oh, Lisa says, sorry, Carla. Yeah. And it's Carla with a K, which is why I was like, Carla's the new Karen. Lisa says, yeah, she's 43 and still not sure what she wants to do when she grows up, right? And yeah, I mean, Lisa, you're kicking butt with what you're doing right now, but also it doesn't matter how old we are, right? We can change our minds next year and pursue something else because I don't care. It is never too late, you guys. It is never too late. Julia Child was like 50 when she published her first book, her first cookbook. She was 50. All of the fame and all of the rest of it, the TV shows and everything came way after she started in the field of culinary arts when she was 50, you guys. So I don't care about Carla or those comic strips or any of it. It's never too late. That kind of cultural negativity is one of the things that we are going to detox and cleanse from in tonight's episode. All right. So I wanted to share those two things that I did for myself today because I think it's important to kind of model the talk I walk in these weekly shows, and to also share the ways that I want to up my game and serve you all and serve my clients better moving forward. So I'm super excited to dive into those things and see where they lead, because I just want to follow that up before we dive into our connection topic for tonight. That 3 years ago today, well, maybe not today, but maybe 3 years and a week ago, my husband asked what I wanted for my birthday. And I said I didn't know, and I thought about it, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to change, get a credential or, do more around the candle business that I had. And I thought, life coaching certification, learning more about life coaching and wellness will give me more talking points when I talk to people around candle sales. And so I said, I think I want to do this coaching certification class. That's what so I asked for that for my birthday 3 years ago. Well, y'all, the rest is history, and here we are. So who knows what the psychology courses and the yoga teacher training will lead to 3 years from today, but it's all about growth and evolving, and I'm so excited to see what this next year has in store for me and the next chapter of my life. So thank you all for being here to celebrate it with me. All right, you guys, let's dive into the topic around connecting around this week's theme of like the barrage of negativity, right? It's not just these comics. It's not just Carla, the advice columnist, right? It's not just, the guy telling Trish she wasn't going to do well in her computer class, or the guy telling Donna she wasn't going to get into Georgetown, right? Like, there's negativity from the network news. There's negativity constantly in our social media feeds, right? There are people that just fill our days with negativity by complaining about their lives constantly, right? We all have those people. Probably somebody just popped into your mind right now when I said it, right? The people who complain about everything, can never find one thing to be grateful for, can never find anything that they can actually do to change the things that they're complaining about, but will just continue to complain. And then there's the naysayers, right? The people that are like, you're never going to get into Georgetown, honey, or you're too old to start a business at your age, or yoga, maybe you should just, take your Metamucil and, go to bed, right? No. So there's negativity from all those kind of people, and even worse is the negativity up here. It's the negativity, it's the negative reel in our own heads, it's the negative self-talk, it's our own negative actions that are the most harmful for us, you guys. It's the negativity up here that is hurting us most. And I want to share some ways that negativity is actually hurting us. So you guys see, it's not just like, oh yeah, well, negativity is bad, right? Negativity by definition is negative. No, it's actually harming us, you guys. And if we have goals and dreams, negativity is keeping us from achieving them. And I want to talk about 3 reasons how that is happening. Number 1, negativity is a demotivator. So where are my Harry Potter peeps? Who remembers the Dementors? Or is that what they were called? The Dementors? Or am I thinking of a different movie? Now I'm making a Harry Potter reference, but I'm not sure if it's accurate. Anyway, I think it's the Dementors in Harry Potter that are like the black things with the cloaks. And they fly in, and if there's plants, the plants all shrivel and die. So negativity is like a dementor in our lives. It's a demotivator, and it actually keeps us stuck, because if we start with a negative mindset of saying, well, gosh, it is going to be hard to change jobs, or, ooh, like the woman who wrote to Carla, like, now there's a pandemic on top of everything else, and I wanted to switch jobs, but now I don't know, and a lot of people are unemployed right now, and maybe I shouldn't even try. So when we start from a place of negativity, it gives us an excuse to stay stuck. We actually, and there's science around this, we actually don't try as hard if we think it's going to be too hard. So we actually will just kind of phone it in, right? If we're like, well, I'm probably not going to get this job, or I'm probably not going to finish this course, or that's my first choice school, but I'm probably not going to get in anyway, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on like application essay, right? If we think we're not going to achieve it, we don't give something the effort it needs to actually make it happen. So it's a demotivator, and it keeps us stuck because it gives us an excuse. It gives us an out before we even start. Georgie says, negativity breeds negativity. Yes, it does, Georgie. That is so very true. Janet says, and 50 was much different in Julia's time, talking about Julia Child. Yeah, 50 was way different in Julia's time, and she rocked 50. You guys rocked it. Okay. Yeah, Lisa says it's true. We self-sabotage. We do in so many ways, right? Even just saying something is going to be super hard before we even start it is a form of self-sabotage, because we're already setting ourselves up, right? To be like, well, I knew it was going to be hard, so, it's no surprise that I didn't get into that school, or I didn't get that job, or whatever. We give ourselves that excuse before we even start. Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for being here. It's great to see you. Yeah, Lisa says completely true. We self-sabotage. So those are some of the ways that we do it. And so negativity is harmful, number one, because it actually demotivates us. Number two, a negative mindset is actually associated with negative, harmful behaviors that may not even have anything to do with the mindset. So just having like a negativity bias, and so many of us do, right? That's such a common thing that you hear about these days, like our negativity bias. We focus on the negative, we cling to the negative more than like the positivity of something, right? So a negative default mindset is actually associated with harmful behaviors. And those can be anything from not eating well or exercising to smoking. All of those things associated with a negative mindset. So we are more likely to engage in actual behavior that harms us if we start out with a mindset up here that is negative. Okay, so that's number two. And number three, you guys, so in case you haven't noticed, we're climbing the stairs here of like increasing awfulness of the things that negativity does to us. So it demotivates us. It can actually make us do some harmful behavior. Number three, you guys, negativity is literally killing us. It is literally killing us, okay? Negativity, people who are negative, people who have a negative mindset, they are more likely to have cardiovascular disease. They are more likely to suffer heart attacks and strokes. And also, negativity is also associated with more stress, which leads to high blood pressure. So negativity is also having a really detrimental impact on our health that can lead to conditions that can cause our death, you guys. Negativity, okay? So we are going to do the negativity cleanse tonight. We are going to talk about how to detox from the bad for good. All right. So I want us to reflect for a minute, and I want you guys to take to the comments again and share with me, what are some of the key sources of negativity in your life, like on the daily? Like what's something, like whether you open up Facebook and it's just like, ugh, all the things, or it's, it's Twitter, or, maybe it's, like your mom is just like, she's always on your back about something, right? Or your spouse is just like, you never do this right, or you're not good at that. Or what is a regular source of negativity for you, and what impact is it having in your life? If you feel comfortable sharing in the comments, on the daily, a sort of daily just something that you can pick out right away and say, yeah, like that is some negativity that I am like dealing with daily. And how does it affect you? Janet says, yeah, negativity is exhausting physically and emotionally. That is very true. So if anybody has anything that you want to share about daily negativity, like a source of daily negativity for you, please take to the comments and share. Vicky says, politics. Yeah. The divisiveness of politics in our country is at an all-time high, you guys. It's scary, some of the things that are happening in our country around political divisions. Georgie says, yes, politics. And I was even going to back it up a little bit and say, for me, it's social media, right? But a lot of what we're seeing on social media these days is around politics, right? But for me, it's like 3 M's. All my words around social media start with M's, right? And it's the memes, right? The stupid memes that I just want to like smack off Facebook, right? Every time I see those pop up, like the political memes or the like whatever memes that are snarky, or they state a fact that's like not even true, right? Like, hello, fact checker, that's not even like accurate. Or, it's just like, it's super negative, or it's hair on fire in some way, or good Lord, like the grammar's wrong, right? Like they used there, and there wrong. So things like that, right? It's the memes. Number one for me, it's the meanness, right? It's the meanness of social media. I don't know what it is about not being face to face with people that make us think like, I can just say this, I can just type this out on my keyboard and be as harmful and hurtful and negative and disrespectful to somebody that I would never consider doing in real life. But like the meanness of social media, you guys, super, super harmful. And also, well, I've already said this a little bit, but the misinformation. So the memes, the misinformation, and the meanness. George says seasonal affective disorder. Yeah, we're heading into this time of the year, right, where it gets dark early. Seasonal affective disorder is a phenomenon where people in the like darker months of the year during winter, it affects our mindset and our psyche. And so that will have a negative impact on us. And George, I'm going to do some episodes of the show in winter, because for me, fall and winter are my two favorite seasons, to be perfectly honest. And I have some tips for how to kind of weather that. There's a lot of like hygge-based, comfort practices that we can do at home that can help kind of alleviate that for some of us. But we're going to have some shows around how to beat the winter blues, George. So I hope you'll tune in for those. But thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So things like politics, right? Things like the state of the seasons, right? Like the weather, right? All of that stuff can impact us in a really negative way on a daily basis, All right. So we've stated those things. We know where it's coming from. All right, you guys, let's detox from it. Let's detox from the bad for good. And for me, I shared my 3 M's of social media. My strategy for combating it, for detoxing from it, is the 3 U's, okay, the letter U. And those of you who may remember way back when we were doing Mindset Mondays in May during Mental Health Awareness Month, during our mental health segment, I talked about 2 of these then. And number 1 is unplug. So my first U is unplug. If it's social media, if it's the politics and divisiveness and the meanness and the misinformation and the stuff that makes us roll our eyes and get crazy and like makes our heart pound, right? Unplug, you guys, unplug from it. If it's the news, right? Like network news, I will be perfectly honest right now, and I may have mentioned this before, I don't watch network news. I don't. I read my news. I get the Washington Post newspaper delivered to my door every day so I can take in information and stay informed, but, at my pace, without all of the verbal talking over each other things that happen on network news programs. I can't do it. So I suggest maybe trying that if network news is a constant source of negativity for you. Try reading your news instead of watching network news. Unplug from social media. Whether it's a full day or like it's a weekend detox, or you allow yourself a specific amount of time to be on those channels, right? Where it's just like the constant memes or somebody starting an argument about this, right? Just unplug from it. And then number two, if it's too much, right? If it's borderline toxic, and it's coming from the same sources over and over and over and over again, you guys know I'm a big believer in unfollow and even unfriend, right? Because if it's all of the stuff over and over and over again, and it's like somebody that you're Facebook friends with and you don't even know how you know them at this point anymore, it's somebody that you've maybe never met in real life, and it's just this constant like negative barrage of like hate or complaining, or it's okay to unfollow. And if it's directed directly at you, to unfriend it, you guys, because toxic people are toxic people, whether they are in our lives in person or whether they are in our lives on social media. And you've probably heard me mention this before. If this is not your first time tuning in, like I'm a big believer in unfriending in real life too, if it comes to that, right? If somebody is just so toxic and so harmful to us in our own lives, it is okay to close those doors and say, for my own well-being, for my own health and sanity, for my own emotional and mental wellness, I need to not have this person in my life. And it's okay. It's okay to unfollow. It's okay to unfriend. And it's okay to do that in real life as well. Because toxic is toxic, and negativity is harming us, whether it comes from our computer screens or it comes from a literal voice in our face, in our ear. Okay. Okay. So number one, unplug. Number two, unfriend or unfollow. Number three is unlearn. And this is the one that I think can do the most good for us, you guys. It is unlearning. And it's unlearning our attitudes and our behavior. It's unlearning our self-talk. It's unlearning habits. It's unlearning any perception of ourselves that has an origin in someone else's belief in our ability or in our worth that isn't rooted in what we believe to be reality. George says, yeah, very particular on Facebook friending. Yeah, we need to choose all of our circles very wisely because they impact us, right? There's that, quote that's like, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And that's in real life, but it's also, if you think about now that so much of our interaction is virtual these days, and for the past like 6 months, right? Like how much of our constant interaction is with people on social media and seeing the same, because the algorithms, right? It's like the same things all the time. And that constant negativity can be really harmful. So George, thank you. Yeah, for sharing that. It's really important to choose our circles wisely. So unlearning, yeah, you guys, it's unlearning all of that stuff, and particularly unlearning what someone else may have taught us, whether it was our parents, whether it was a friend who was like the frenemy, right? That's always criticizing us or trying to put us down, or is actually super competitive and just likes to see us fail, right? Or whether it's the boss who was like, I'm not going to put you up for that promotion because I don't think you're ready, or whatever it was, right? It's somebody else's perception of our ability or our limitations or our worth. So we need to unlearn that, you guys. We need to unlearn it. And I also want to say something else around unlearning that is just as important, if not more important, than the external unlearning, unlearning the things that other people have like piled on to us. It's also unlearning our own perceptions of what something should take to accomplish. And I want to say that again. We need to unlearn some things around our own perceptions of what change looks like or what it should take, right? And you guys, I know for long-term, super entrenched behaviors, change is hard. It's not just flipping a switch, right? But we need to unlearn, like, well, it shouldn't be this hard, right? Like, I've done all the things. I'll use job hunting, right? Since we're talking about the work advice column, right? Like unemployment or job hunting as an example, right? Well, it shouldn't take this long, or it shouldn't be this hard. I've, applied for jobs. I've sent out my resume. I've done the things. Like, I should have a job by now. I should have seen X results by now. You guys, we need to unlearn what we think something should take, because that also is almost as harmful as negativity, in that, well, we think if we just put in this much effort and we should see results by now. You guys, no. Okay, I want us to, did you ever hear the phrase, it is what it is? I think that has made a resurgence in our popular culture and in the zeitgeist lately. It is what it is, right? That's a phrase, that's an excuse phrase. That is a phrase that people use to say, well, it is what it is. I can't change it. I've done what it should take, what I think it should take. And now the situation just is what it is, My husband doesn't understand me. I've tried to tell him how I feel, and, it is what it is. Well, is it? Is it? Or is it what you think that it should have taken, right? So I want us to replace it is what it is with it takes what it takes, okay? It takes what it takes, you guys, not what we think it should, or not what it took for somebody else, because everybody is in a different set of circumstances, right? Everybody is coming at, things from different places. Georgia says, I try not to should on herself. Yeah. Lisa, your inner circle is crucial. Average of the 5. Yeah. Oh, totally me, that it shouldn't be this hard. You guys, it takes what it takes. I want us to replace that it should be, or this is what I think it should take, or it is what it is, with it takes what it takes. It takes what it takes, and thinking it should only be this gives us the excuse to quit before we finish, before we succeed. Because, well, we did the thing. We sent our resume to 5, potential jobs. I, told my husband that I don't like it when, he texts people during dinner. I don't know. I tried. I signed up for this class, but I didn't get in. So I guess I'll never be able to change my job, because I won't be able to, get the certification or learn something new. It should only take this thing I did and maybe didn't work the first time. No, you guys, it takes what it takes. And that's where a growth mindset will serve us. That is where, replacing that it is what it is and recognizing that that is an excuse. That is what people say when we give ourselves permission to quit. It is what it is, I guess. There's nothing else I can do. It takes what it takes. Okay. So I get it, right, you guys? It's hard. Change is hard. All right. I also mentioned that I was going to share my number one predictor of whether someone will succeed or fail when embarking on a path of change or setting a goal. And I'm going to do that in a minute. It's actually a math problem, you guys, because I love math and I love numbers. And so this is a theory that I have constructed on my own. It's based around intake questions I ask to clients, and I have seen patterns emerge. And so I have come to this realization, and there is a number one predictor that I can look at somebody's intake, the way they answer these 2 questions, and know right away if they're going to take what it takes, or if they're going to be it is what it is. Okay. I will share that in a minute. But first, what does Lisa say? Yes, thank you for the reframing. You're welcome, Lisa. I'm glad that was helpful because, yeah, some of these phrases, some of these things that we just say, and we don't even think about what it's doing subconsciously, right? We don't even think about what just saying, like, oh, it is what it is actually telegraphing to us. It's saying it's okay to quit. Or by saying, oh, it shouldn't be this hard, you guys. Spoiler alert, it's going to be hard. Change is hard, you guys. Change is hard, especially if it is entrenched behavior, especially if it's a problem that we've had for years and years and years or decades. Switching jobs, especially in this climate today, or getting, hired after unemployment. You guys, it's going to be hard. It is going to take what it takes. And saying it is what it is just an excuse to quit. Rose says, failure is a teaching moment. Yes, I 100% believe that too. Every time we fail, we learn something from it. Okay. And we can either blame somebody else for those failures, or we can take responsibility for them ourselves and see how we are contributing to those moments that we don't succeed, right? Failure is a teachable moment. It's also a mindset thing, right? I'm going to share my number one predictor of success or failure in a minute. But first, you guys, I want to share some good news because, every week I want to do this little good news segment. And I have a really fun and interesting story to share about doing the impossible, about saying, you know what? It is what it is. That's not a thing. It takes what it takes. Okay. So I want to share this story about overcoming and doing what some would consider the impossible. And do you guys remember from last week? These aren't the sexiest stories in the world, all right, but they're really meaningful. Okay. So I want you to remember that. But okay, so here's an example of overcoming what people might look at and say, that's never going to happen, or that's too hard, or why are you even trying to do this? It is what it is. You guys, the story I want to share is about growing food in the desert. Growing food in the desert. Okay, who would have thought that was possible? Well, this company in Norway did, you guys, and it could change the world, okay? We could solve hunger for a lot of countries this way. This could eradicate food insecurities for countries whose landscapes are mostly desert and they have to import like the majority of their food. So you guys, I want to share this picture of crops and plants that are growing in what used to be a desert. This company in Norway, Desert Control is their name. They have developed a product called liquid nanoclay that actually takes root in like arid, sandy landscapes and allows plants to grow, allows seeds to be sown and plants to grow, vegetation to flourish in this liquid nanoclay. And this is just one of the pictures that was attached to the article. They are literally, this is in Dubai, you guys. This is in a desert in Dubai. They are growing food because somebody was like, impossible? I'll show you. We can solve this. And not, well, it shouldn't be this hard, or it is what it is. It's a desert, y'all. You can't grow food in the desert. They stuck with it, and they are working to bring the cost down to make it more accessible. And you guys, this could like change the face of starvation in countries. This could change the face of food insecurity. So it is a hugely positive story. I wanted to share that about this company in Norway that is growing food in the desert because it takes what it takes, you guys. It takes what it takes. All right, you guys. So back to math and back to my number one predictor of success or failure when someone is setting a goal or has a problem or an issue that they want to change or work through change for. Scott says he wants to buy stock in nano desert plants. Yeah, we should look into. I don't know if this company is trading on the U.S. stock exchange yet, babe, but you know me, I'll be in early. I'm a big dabbler in emerging markets. So I'll keep us posted on that. Yeah. Okay, you guys, math. Number one predictor of success or failure when someone is setting a goal or saying, I have this problem, I'm experiencing this issue, and I want to change. I want to embark on this path of change. Okay. And it boils down to a simple equation. Okay. So if this is you, if this applies to you in any way, if you're experiencing a problem, and these are questions that are on my intake form because I want to get a read on clients before I start working with them. Okay, so I ask these two questions on all of my client intakes to give me a sense of where someone is. And I've been seeing some patterns emerge. And so I want to share this with you guys because I think by changing this answer and changing this part of the equation, we can all be more successful. Okay, so the first question is this. The problem that you're experiencing or the issue that you want to change, rate that severity on a scale of 1 to 10. How severe is this problem in your life? Is it like, oh my God, I've been like smoking since I was a teenager and I'm 50 now and it's like decades long and really, really hard? Or is it like, I'm feeling some job dissatisfaction. It's not soul crushing and killing me yet, but it's like a 5 for me. Okay. So whatever the thing is, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Or if it's a goal, right? How badly do you want to achieve this goal? Or what would achieving this goal do in your life, right? Is it a 1 or is it a 10? Is it just like, oh, I want to do this thing because it's a hobby, like I want to take this class and, it's maybe like a 3, but I don't know how to fit this thing into my life yet. Or, maybe the problem isn't like super, super bad, but I want to nip it in the bud before it gets really bad kind of thing. Or maybe it's like, I'm like 50 pounds overweight and I have felt this way my whole life. It's affecting other areas of my health. It's really bad and I'm overeating and I'm doing this to myself and I just want to stop. It's a 10. Okay. So whatever the problem is, whatever the issue is, whatever the goal represents to us, if it's just a goal, right? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. That's number 1. Then I ask, what is the amount of effort, energy, time, and your own resources that you are willing to commit to making this change happen or to achieving this goal? Rate that on a scale of 1 to 10 with your energy, your effort, your time, your resources. How much of that are you willing to put towards solving this problem or achieving this goal? 1 to 10. You're like, I'm all in, you guys, 100%. I am so 10. I've been experiencing this. Like I've been smoking my whole life. I got to make some change right now. I am a 10 out of 10. Or are you like, well, I don't know. Like I have a lot going on. Like I have this job and I have the kids at home and I don't know how much time I'm actually going to be able to devote to doing stuff that now, my life coach is going to give me to do. So I don't know, maybe like a 5. Maybe, if I'm being honest, I don't know, 6, if I'm having a good day, but the problem is a 10. Okay, so we have a problem at a 10, for example, and we have an effort at a 5. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take the number of your effort and subtract from it the intensity of the problem. Okay, so if your effort is a 5, but your problem is a 10, we're subtracting 10 from 5, and we have -5. Lose weight, problem 5, effort to solve 5. George, thank you for sharing that. So what is our problem intensity? Subtract that from our effort intensity. All right, and here's the predictor of success or failure. If the number at the end of our equation is positive or a 0, I think we're probably going to succeed here because that means that there's leftover or it's equal. right? So if you have a problem at a 10 and you're meeting it with a 10, you're at a 0, you're meeting the problem with equal effort. Or if the problem's not super bad yet, but you're like, I am all in because I don't want it to get bad, I'm at a 5 with the problem, but I'm at a 9.5 with my effort. You got a 4.5 on the other end. You're like way going to succeed, okay? But on the other hand, if you got an effort at a 5 and a problem at a 10, the number that you end up with is negative. So if that number is negative, I see what I have come to call an effort deficit occurring. And that is a big predictor that someone is already of the mindset that they are not going to meet their moment with the effort that is required. And I see people slip off programs, and I see people revert back to old habits. And those early questions are an indicator of that. So if we can ask ourselves those questions and nip it in the bud and say, you know what, this problem is a 10, but I'm going to meet it with a 10. Or George, like weight loss, problem at a 5, I'm going to meet it with a 5. I'm going to meet it where it is, okay? If our number at the end is positive or 0, I think the likelihood of success is really high. If our number is negative to start with, that represents an effort deficit. Okay, already we are starting with a negative. We are saying, I am not willing to invest the effort, the time, the energy, or the resources that I think are going to, meet this where it is. And I know if a client responds that way, I've got an uphill battle to get that turned around, because God bless them, they're honest and they're saying, I'm at a 5 here, but it's going to be really hard to overcome that. So it's going to take not just the amount of work, it's not going to just take what it takes, it's going to take even more than this person thinks it should to get where they want to be. Okay, so that is my number one predictor of success or failure: effort deficit. Problem on a scale of 1 to 10, effort on a scale of 1 to 10. Subtract the problem from your effort. If it's a positive or a 0, we're on the right track. If you're starting out with a negative number, that effort deficit is going to have to be overcome somewhere, and it's going to take even more than you're going into it thinking it's going to take. All right, you guys, I promised that I would talk about this week's charity, and I'm so excited to do that, and it's a really personal one for me. I mentioned at the top of the show that you will see links to support our content in our community. And every week we pay it back. We pay it forward. We take 10% off the top and donate to charity every single week. And this week's charity is really personal to me. This week's charity is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And those of you who were here with me a couple weeks ago remember a story that I told about a woman who connected with me on Facebook, who is no longer with us, that has inspired me to look into more opportunities to give coaching services away. And those of you who may or may not know this, suicide deeply impacted my own family. My maternal grandmother took her own life in her early 40s. And it had repercussions for my mom and for her family, for her siblings, that they still deal with today. And so last week was Suicide Prevention Awareness Week. It just ended yesterday. I think this is a problem that is so prevalent and so preventable if we put resources toward meeting the need. And so this week, 10% of everything we take in for our content and community is going to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So thank you to those who have already contributed. If you haven't contributed to support this week's content and community, it's totally optional. But if you do, that is our charity beneficiary this week. So thank you so much for making it possible for us to pay it forward in this way. All right, you guys, we are almost at time for tonight. I also want to share one resource with you guys, one resource that I think is just phenomenal, and has been such a positive for me to read these past couple days. This book is called The Gift. The Gift, and it is by Edith Egger. She goes by Dr. Edie. The Gift, 12 Lessons to Save Your Life. And this isn't just about suicide prevention, which is what we were just talking about. Dr. Edie is a Holocaust survivor. She is a clinical psychologist, and she has been working with clients for about 45 years. She survived the concentration camps at Auschwitz. She moved to the United States, got married, went back to school, has a PhD in clinical psychology, and works with people who are working to overcome all kinds of problems. And her first book was called The Choice, and it was more of a memoir, her own story of surviving the camps and overcoming, building her own family. The Gift is kind of her how-to. What was the mindset stuff she had to do? What were the daily actions she took? What were those little shifts she had to make in the way she saw herself in her life? And you guys, if you can't see it, the blurb at the top is from Oprah. So Dr. Edie is quite world-renowned for the work that she is doing. Oprah says, "I will be forever changed by Edith Egger's story." And I'm showing you this on my iPad and not the hard copy book, because this book actually publishes tomorrow. This book comes out in print tomorrow. I was fortunate enough to receive an advance pre-publication copy for review because of the work I do and my book club, the book club that we have here. And I had a chance to read Dr. Edie's new book, The Gift. And you guys, she's a phenomenal inspiration, not just because of what she's overcome, but what she has learned from working with clients for decades. She has chapters on victimhood, on avoidance, on grief, on self-neglect, on resentment, fear, and probably a half dozen or so others. Highly, highly recommend The Gift by Edith Egger. It publishes tomorrow as an additional resource if anybody wants to dive into negativity mindset shifts a little bit deeper than our conversation tonight. I also want to remind everyone that our book club book for September is Everything is Figureoutable by Marie Forleo. We will be discussing it on September 28th, and Everything is Figureoutable is one of my own personal mantras. It's today's can-do attitude, and Marie's book is fantastic. It is fantastic. And she give us all that little kick in the butt to cleanse from the negativity and figure out whatever we need to figure out, right? Because as we said earlier tonight, it takes what it takes, right, you guys? It takes what it takes. All right. Thank you so, so much for joining me for the negativity cleanse. Thank you to everyone who's contributed to support our content and community. This week, 10% is going to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So grateful. I so appreciate you. Thank you for celebrating my birthday with me today. I'm going to go celebrate the rest of the evening with my husband. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you back here next week, Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. I love you guys. Good night.